Welcome everybody, I am Tyler Matthews. I've been playing basketball since I was 8 years old. I played varsity all 4 years, and I played college basketball, Division III to be specific. And today we're going to talk about the exact things I did to get a college scholarship with average talent. I am half white, half Filipino. I am blessed to be 6'2", but at the end of the day, I wasn't born with the 50-inch vertical. I'm not 6'6" with a 7-foot wingspan. And so I'm making this video just so you guys can see that it's possible, and in order to get there, it's going to be a lot harder than you think. And so my promise to you guys is you're going to know exactly what to do and how to do it after this video. And the plan we're going to do the plan and how we're going to go over it is we're going to use this whiteboard here, and we're going to talk about 5 different topics. And it can go for a pretty long time. So the first topic is before you set any goal, you just have to decide on what you want to do. And so that's the first topic of today, is decide. People overlook this one because if you want to, let's just say you're in 6th grade, you're in 9th grade, or if you're in 11th grade, you have to decide whether you want to get to the next level. And so if you're in 6th grade, like I was at one point, I wanted to make varsity as a freshman, and so that was my decision. I intentionally decided to make that step, and I knew what came with it, which was more work, more competitiveness, more pressure, and all of those things that come with taking on a new goal. And then, in addition to deciding, you also have to decide what you have to sacrifice. So, for instance, if I want to make varsity freshman year, I also have to sacrifice a few things. So these are the pros, and then these are the cons. It's like, okay, you don't get much time to yourself, right? You don't have chill time, no chill time. You're going to be constantly juggling school and basketball, so you're a student athlete. I mean, this in itself is tough because you have to pass classes, and you have to, work out at the same time, right? Like a very realistic schedule is you work out in the morning, go to school, have practice at night, then you have homework right after that, and then you have another workout, and you do that for a very long period of time. And so when you decide these things, you have to kind of go over in your head what you're going to get out of it if you do it and you stick with it, but then you also have to be prepared to sacrifice the things that are hidden almost, right? So it's like you're not going to be able to, hang out with everyone. You're not going to be able to maybe even have a girlfriend sometimes. My mentor said that all the time. He said, wait to get a girlfriend. And I always asked him why, but I understand why now, because if you really do want to be the best, there's only one option, and that option is to, do the one thing that you set out to do, or decided to do, since we're in this topic. And so when you're deciding on what to do, just weigh that decision out, think through it thoroughly, and make sure that you're not kidding yourself. I do it too, and I think a lot of people do it, is we think we want it, we decide to get it, but then after a couple weeks and we fail or we're not seeing much progress, we stop. And so that's when we're going to next, is the commitment part. So, or sorry, that's actually not the second part. The second part is planning, okay? Planning. So first one, decide. So first decide. We're going to stick with the goal of going for a D1 scholarship, but again, don't skip steps. If you're in 7th grade, your goal should be varsity freshman year, or not even 7th grade. It should be like, dominate on your AAU team first. If you're in 8th grade and you're going to your freshman year next year, then your goal should be, okay, make varsity freshman year. And then when you're on varsity, now how can I be the best player, right? Don't skip steps. If you're in 8th grade and you're saying like, okay, let's just go I have a goal to go D1, it's just not realistic. Take things step by step. right? There's steps to everything, and you got to do them accordingly, or you're just gonna end up burning yourself out. And so let's just say we're gonna imagine you're a high school senior or you're a high school junior. You already have a couple offers. You're D2, D3, but you want to go D1, right? So you're a junior with some D2, D3 offers, but you want to get that first Division I scholarship. Okay, how do we plan accordingly? Okay, and it all depends on the athlete, which is why getting a Division I scholarship is so tough, because everyone's a little different. So, but the whole concept of deciding and planning still is the same. So when you decide to do something, okay, I'm deciding. That's what I want. Now, how do I get there? Right? Let's just say we want to go D1. Right? That's the plan, or that's the goal. Now we got a plan to get there. So the way I did this when I was young is I would ask myself, well, what work do I have to do to get there? Okay, I know for a fact that I'm not 6'6", and I can't just dunk the ball whenever, and I can't blow by people because I'm naturally athletic. I couldn't do that. So what I needed to do was I had to create a plan to get more athletic. I needed to create a plan to get more skilled, to improve my jump shot, improve my ball handling, improve my finishing, and improve everything I needed to do in order to perform and average more points and get the stats needed. So I would be like, okay, well, I'm going to do 2 workouts a day, because I couldn't do more than that or I would be tired. That's the first thing. And then I would split it. So I'd be like, okay, if I need to do both athleticism and skills, I would have to do a little bit of both. So I would do 1 skill workout a day and then 1 athletic workout. And what I would do is I would separate it Monday through Saturday, because I always rested on Sunday. So you have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Now, let's say on a Monday, we're trying to do a shooting workout. And again, a shooting workout, I still believe that's part of skill. So we do shooting Monday, and then let's just say we work on our legs, right? We're trying to get stronger. So we'll do a leg workout. And then Tuesday, I want to do more pick and roll. Sure, P and R. And then for our athletic workout, let's do upper body. And then Wednesday, we're going back to our shooting workout. So shoot. And then again, we're going to end off on a Wednesday. We already did leg strength. We already did upper body strength. Now let's do some type of plyometric, right? Let's do a speed workout or plyos. Maybe we give ourselves the option. So speed, plyo. And then I would repeat this Thursday through Saturday. And then what I would do is like, okay, well, now what do I have to do in the shooting workout? Okay, well, then you have to ask yourself the question, well, what am I struggling in? Am I struggling on my pull-up? Am I struggling on my spot-ups? Am I struggling on my movement shooting? Right? You got to ask specific questions, because, again, you're not the same player than another guy. So a lot of kids make the mistake of looking up online and seeing, like, oh, what program works for me? It's like, none of them. I mean, obviously, they're going to do something because you're still working, right? Putting in work is always going to get you better, no matter what. I don't care how bad the work is or whatever the drills are, it's going to get you better because you're working. But the specificness of it is very low, or specificity, yeah, something like that. But it's just not really good, right? So what you need to do is you got to ask yourself specific questions. You got to be like, okay, with the shooting workout, let me understand what I have to do better, right? So you got to be like, okay, I got to work on my pull-up. All right, we're going to just do pull-ups. 1 dribble pull-ups and 2 dribble pull-ups on Monday, Wednesday, Saturday. You're going to get better at pull-ups pretty quickly, probably within 4 weeks, if you follow the thing. And then pick and roll. Okay, well, what type of pick and rolls do I need to work on? Do I need to work on left wing pick and rolls, right wing pick and rolls? Do I need to work on Florida screens? That's what we call it in high school, where they're flat screens, not a, parallel to the baseline, but you're actually parallel to the sideline pick and rolls, right? Do I need to work on high pick and rolls? Whatever you need to work on, you got to do it. And then you got to be like, okay, well, that's the location of the pick and roll. But now, do I have to work on rejecting the screen? Do I have to work on splitting it? Do I have to work on pulling up after the screen when my defender goes under? You got to run through these scenarios, and how do you do that? How do you figure out the weakness? Watch film. Got to watch your film, see what you're doing wrong, and go from there. Okay? And then for the leg workouts, you got to ask yourself the question, well, what part of my leg is, not strong? And for the most part, a lot of you watching, you just got to work on everything, right? Don't do anything specific, right? Most of you watching are not in college yet, or even in at a pro level. At the pro and college level, yes, you got to be specific with your training. When you're young, just squat, do deadlifts, get stronger, improve your force production, and that's it. Same thing with upper body, just the regular bench press, rows, shoulder presses, curls, tricep cable pull downs, like just the basic stuff that you see on the internet is fine, but you got to be consistent with it. And I think that's why a lot of people don't see results, because they're not consistent. And then Wednesday, your speed and plyo workout, it just depends on what you need to work on. So speed and plyos are damn near the same thing, right? Whenever you're sprinting, that is a form of plyometric. Whenever you're playing basketball, that is a bunch of plyometrics. You're sliding, you're pushing off your feet, you're jumping, you're landing. And so when you're putting together these plyo workouts or your speed workouts, you got to just make sure that you're not overdoing it, especially if you're playing basketball every day. But what I will say is, like basketball, I call those low-level plyometrics. Unless you're jumping out the gym, you're not jumping very high, right? Like you're jumping, maybe you're sliding, you're doing very like small, low-level plyometrics versus like when you're trying to dunk the ball, I call that a high-level plyometric, which is where you're trying to like maximize your force production, and that will tire yourself out more. And so for my athletes, I just make it clear that they're not overdoing it with that. I will only want you doing it once or twice a week, max jumps, right? And you got to build up to that. You can't just do this off the bat. And again, I did this when I was already working out twice a day. And so I ramped it up, but then I got more specific with it, with the skill athletic, and I was asking myself these questions, and I figured it out through trial and error. But if you're watching this, hopefully you don't have to do that. I got you covered. But when you're doing this stuff, again, all that matters is that you're consistent and that you're consistently learning, right? Like when you're doing these workouts, you got to film them and see what you're doing wrong, see if you're going full speed. It's all about getting that, paying attention to details, okay? And then, so that's just, and by the way, that's just like the physical work. This is the physical work, but we haven't even gone into the mental work for the planning part, and I'm going to get into that in a second. But again, when you're making these goals, depending on how big or small they are, the work would change. If I was only, let's just say I'm a junior and I just want to, finish my career out, like this is not necessary. You want to be average, just do average stuff, which is pretty easy to do. Go to practice. That's about it. But now we're going to go into the mental part. So for the mental part, I would watch film. And so how would I watch film? I would watch film of other players that I wanted to study that I had the body type for. So for instance, I'm not going to watch LeBron James because I'm not 6'9", and I'm not 250 pounds. At the time I was probably like 6'2", 165, right? So I'm going to watch people like my height and my build. So I was watching a lot of Kyrie, I was watching a lot of Steph Curry, I was watching a lot of, Steve Nash, CP3, people like that where I could take their game. So it's like, CP3, Kyrie, Steph. When I was watching the film, I would ask myself questions, right? When I'm looking at their moves. And what I would love to do, and this is a pro tip, is if you're watching their film and they're about to do a move, pause it. And then you ask yourself, okay, what would I do in that situation? Or what do you think, let's just say Kyrie would do in that situation? And you guess it. And then before it happens, and then you play it, and then let's just say he does it, then you're starting to think the game, you're starting to see the game, and you're starting to become smart. But it takes a while in order to kind of like react to that, because you got to read the defense. Like, what is the defense doing? And so you gotta kind of play it that way, and you also got to just study their footwork, take their footwork from the game. You can take their moves a little bit, but be very careful how you take the moves, because again, they're in the NBA. That's why I study not only NBA players, but I also study college players as well. And because college is more similar to high school basketball than NBA is. NBA is more like freestyle. And so be careful of that. And then you got to study film of yourself. So when you're studying film of yourself, you got to ask yourself similar questions. So like, let's just say you're driving in the paint and all of a sudden you get cut off. You pause it, see what you did wrong. All right, let's just say you turn the ball over in the actual film, but like, let's just say you pause it and you say, okay, what should I have done there? Before turning the ball over, what should I have done? All right, let's just say you're like, all right, I should have done a spin move. I should have countered. I should have, retreated. Whatever the case may be, you got to say it before you do it, and then watch yourself turn the ball over and be like, okay, I'm not going to do that again. I'm going to make that move. And it's one thing to say it, but then you got to go and do this. One-on-one, play one-on-one, and practice the thing you just did or said to yourself. So if you were like, you're driving and the defender cut you off and you're supposed to spin, you're supposed to go through the legs, you're supposed to counter, you go one-on-one with your friend or whoever's at the park or whoever's at the gym, you play them one-on-one, and I guarantee you they're going to cut you off at least once. You better freaking do the counter, you better do the spin, you better do whatever you said, and so you're getting comfortable not only saying it but then doing it right after. Right? The time it takes from you to see it on film and then do it in a one-on-one setting is very important. If you do it very fast, you're going to fix the problem faster. If you do it slow, then it's like, who cares, right? And so, but then also, the next part is do it in practice. Do it in a 5-on-5 setting. Do it in front of your coaches. And then finally, game. That's how you do it, right? And that's how it will go down, okay? What else? Yeah, so that's how I would do the film. And so in terms of planning, I would watch film every day, and then but the thing is, this is how I watch film. Very important. It's not about how much, yeah, you watch 30 minutes of film, but what did you really get out of it? Okay, so film plus, the physical workouts, which is like the work, I'm just gonna say workouts. And then the last thing, dude, it's just like, I mean, you could say diet, you can say, like, be perseverant, but analyze, learn, apply. Analyze, learn, apply. Just do it over and over again, and you'll get better. Now, the next thing is committing. Okay, so after you decide, okay, I'm a junior, I'm gonna go D1. I have D2, D3 offers. I'm gonna go D1. Planning, okay, I'm gonna do this, and that, like I just showed you. I'm gonna make it specific to what I need to get better at, and I'm gonna go from there. Next thing, committing. This is the most important part because this is where people fail. Anyone can decide. Anyone can plan. 97 to 99% of people do not commit. And when I say you commit, you got to commit for a long period of time. So this is probably like around, at least 3 to 6 months, especially if you're starting something new. But just to give you context, I did 2 workouts a day since 6th grade all the way till I was 20. So what is that, 8 years? I did it for 8 years, and I don't think I had my best season until, I had a good, college season, but I also had a better senior season. Averaged 13 points, 3 assists, 4 rebounds, a steal and a half, right? While shooting good percentages like 50, 40, and 75 from the free throw line, something like that. And so it takes a while. And when you're committing, you got to just ask yourself, when it gets hard, will you keep going or will you stop? And the biggest indicator of that is just how much you love the game. If you depend on the game for your well-being and you identify with it and all that stuff, and who are you besides a hooper type of thing, I think a lot of those people succeed because they just love the game so much and it works out for them. But when you identify as other things like, oh, but I'm also a boyfriend, I'm also a best friend to this guy, I'm also whatever the case may be, you have kind of like a plan B, Usually those people don't commit as much, and then eventually I end up beating people like that because I had nothing but basketball, so it was easy for me to commit, if that makes sense. Like, a girl rejects you, I got basketball. I got Wilson, bro. I'm good. Like, I got Wilson. A girl rejects me, I got Wilson in my bed at night. You know what I mean? So I wasn't ever tripping on that because I had Wilson. And then, you know what I'm saying? So easy to commit for me, but I don't know about you guys. But yeah, commit. It's pretty simple. You just got to do it for a long period of time. And then the next part is act. Do what you planned out to do. Do what you planned out to do, and then commit to it, right? If you fail, good. Keep going. And I'm going to add something else to this. Adapt as you go. Adapt as you go. Because again, the plan that you make is probably pretty good, but of course, no plan is always perfect. So yes, you can tweak it. Yes, you can change it up a bit, but don't change it to the point where it's completely different, right? If you said you're going to do 2 workouts a day, 6 days a week, and then all of a sudden you're like, I'm only going to do 1. Well, yeah, then you're just not committed then. You know what I mean? You sign the contract and you're failing yourself. But adapting means like, okay, the first shooting workout I created was good, but I think I can make it better by adding this drill and taking that drill away. That's perfectly fine. That's called adapting, right? Let's just say I think I should put 1 more day of one-on-ones in because I feel like I'm not instinctive enough. Okay, cool, great, do that. Whatever you think is good. And I think a lot of people wait for someone to tell them what they need to do versus do it. Act. You are your own person. Do not wait for your dad. Do not wait for your mom. Do not wait for your sister. Do not wait for your brother. Just do it. Take ownership of your game. It's your game. No one's going to make you better except you. No one's putting in the work except you. So just accept it. Like, come on, bro. Get to work. Now, yeah, that's pretty much it. And then the last part. Repeat. Because it's not good enough to just do it once. And so if I could tell you guys how many plans I made and I ripped up and threw it away the next day and I created a whole new one, it'd be a lot. Probably like over 10, 15, 20 plans that I hand wrote on a piece of paper. And I created a whole workout schedule for me to follow Monday through Saturday, and I was like, nope, I don't like it. Because I'm a perfectionist, but also, when it's not working out and it's not working out, don't be afraid to change, right? Again, you can't say do less work, right? That's not what I'm saying here, because again, you got to put in, like, to me, if you're not talented or you're averagely talented, you're not 6'6" with a 45-inch vertical, you got to put in 2 workouts a day, 6 days a week. I don't see any other way, because for you to beat the guy that's putting in one workout a day, 6 days a week, but he's 6'6", 45-inch vertical naturally, how do you beat that guy? Tell me. How do you beat him? You got to outwork him, and you got to be smarter than him, right? And so for most of the people out there that are like that were like me and want to be a bucket and be able to score and be able to actually make an impact and average points and average a full stat line, you got to do extra, and that's okay. But if you do extra, don't complain about it. Just be about it, and then you got to repeat it. You put in the first 3 months, do another 3 months, and then after the next 3 months, do another 3 months. Like, keep on updating your software, keep on updating your mindset, keep on updating your workout regimen, because as you work harder, you're going to increase your work capacity, and so you'll be able to do even more, and you'll be able to do it better. When I first started this, you think I was going game speed? Fuck no. But then as I got better and better, yeah, I was going game speed, because I actually started filming myself. I started saying, like, damn, I'm freaking going slower than my grandma. And then I started going faster and faster and faster and faster until all of a sudden I'm going game speed. But that was only after months and months and maybe even years of just analyzing my film and seeing what I could have done better, and that takes work, that takes time, that takes sacrifice, and so that's why a lot of people don't succeed. It's not because it's not, it's simple, but it's not easy. There's a difference. Again, I just told you the full blueprint. This is exactly what I followed. That full 5-step blueprint: decide, plan, commit, act, repeat. That's all it is. And I got that from Tim Grover, by the way, who was Michael Jordan's trainer. So just like I said to you guys, like, you guys can take this and go home and not use it, which is completely fine, and a lot of people will do that. But if you're one of the few, which is like usually 1 out of 100 kids, if you're that one kid, take this, decide what you want, plan how to get there, commit to the work even when you fail, which you will, and then act and do it until you succeed. I'm going to say that again. Act and do it until you succeed. There's no, oh, I'm going to do it and then for a certain amount of time. No, you do it until you win. And you keep adapting until you win. And then obviously repeat it once you do win, right? So it's like when I did that whole thing, right? Decide, plan, commit, act, and then repeat. When I did this, I made varsity freshman year. And then once I made varsity freshman year, you think that was good enough? No. I made another thing. All right. I decided to make varsity freshman year. I did it. Now what I want to do? I want to hit a game winner. I want to have a career high. I want to have a, you know what I mean? And I did all those things too. Had a game winner my freshman year. I had a career high of 19 points that year, and an MVP of a tournament. And I got most improved, something like that. But then after that, what was the next goal? Okay, I want to be the best player in my county, or first team all league. And league MVP. Right? Boom. It doesn't stop. There's always another level. And then it's obviously a college scholarship. So it's like, for you guys, you got to get these before you get a D1, D2, D3 scholarship. You can't just skip steps. So anyone listening to this, unless you're already a Division 1, if you already have a Division 1 offer, then it's the same thing for you guys. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Now it's like, how do I start on the D1 team? How do I average 10, 15 points on the D1 team now that I'm starting? How do I go to the NBA now? Right? It's like, it doesn't stop. And so, trust me, if I was good enough to go to the league right now, I would be in the league. But I understand that there's a lot of also other things that go into making the league too. It does come down to a lot of natural talent, a lot of natural genetics. But like I told you, I had average talent, I had average genetics. Luckily, I was 6'2", but again, that doesn't, either way, right? I maximized with what I had. And so the point of this video is so that you guys maximize what you have. And hopefully you can go farther because of it. And again, there's no excuses. There's just no excuses. So I hope this helped. Again, I'm Tyler Matthews. And until next time, keep putting in the work, guys. Hope this helped.